Hi everyone, this is Hiba from My Little Journal, and today I'm excited to set up my April in my daily journal. And I'm going to start by adding my tab. I've been using these tabs from the Passion Planner, and they are perfect for my daily journal. Once I add my tab, I'm going to start working on my title page. So as always, I'm going to be using these alpha stamps from Studio Calico. These are the Tucker alphas. I've been using them since last year, and I just like to keep my alphas looking the same throughout the year, just basically for my title pages. And I'm going to stamp it right in the center. I will also be using, I believe, a stamp set from scrapbook.com. It had a bunch of bold words, and I wanted to change up the font a little bit. So I went with a scripty font, and I'm going to be stamping memories right underneath April. Now, April is the month of flowers. All the flowers start blooming. It's springtime, and I love me some flowers. So I am going to make sure to add flowers in my April spreads. And it is the month of Ramadan. So I want to also represent Ramadan throughout my spreads. But because I am not a very themey kind of person, so I'm going to just throw it in there every once in a while. It's not going to be like Ramadan heavy or floral heavy or anything like that, but I am going to make sure to add it in throughout my spreads. So for April's title page, I'm sticking with flowers. I'm okay with making this very flower heavy, and I'm using this beautiful floral stamp from Ink by Jing. I mention her a lot in my videos because I do use her stencil as well, which I get asked about all the time. So I'll make sure to link her shop, her Etsy shop, down in the description box for you. Anyways, I'm just creating my own masking for some of these alphas. I want to make sure that my flowers are being stamped around the alphas and not through my alphas. And I'm creating little clusters around my title, and I'll also add a few clusters in the corners. And I just love how this is turning out. It's so springy, and it's even going to look more springier once I color in my flowers. And I say this all the time, I like color on my spreads, but not too much. So that's why I end up coloring in a few of my flowers, not all of them. And I don't color them fully, if that makes sense. I always try to keep some of them black and white and just like a hint of color. Okay, so I'm done stamping my flowers. I'm going to grab my pencil case and color in some of these flowers. I'm using my Tombow markers. I think I go between my Tombow markers and my Crayola Super Tips. So I'm just going in between these flowers, making sure that I am spreading the colors. So I'm making sure that I'm not coloring in all of them in blue or all of them in yellow. And I'm just scattering the colors around my spread. And once I'm done coloring in my flowers, I'm going to grab my gray Tombow marker to add some shadowing to my title. And I even add some underneath my flowers. And I'm going to grab my stencil from Ink by Jing to add a border to my spread. I love adding borders to my spread. I always feel like it's the finishing touch. It makes everything look great and finished and crisp. Okay, now that I'm done with my title page, we can start working on the first week of April. So this is week 13, and it starts on a Friday. So I have 2 spreads for 3 days, which is awesome because it's the weekend, and I always have loads of journaling for the weekend. So I'm okay with filling out 2 spreads for 3 days. Anyways, I'm gonna start by stamping week 13 using the Studio Calico stamp set, and the calendar stamp set is from the Paper Person shop. So that kind of represents the week for me. And I'm gonna be using some large day stamps. Because I have the space, I'm going with larger day stamps. These are no longer available, but they were from the Paper Person shop. And I'm gonna stamp Friday, Saturday, Sunday. To bring in some color, I'm gonna use my Crayola Super Tips to add some color and create a little bar in between my alphas. Those little bars or the yellow boxes are gonna hold my 1, 2, 3. So I really don't know where I'm going with this. I have to admit that I did no planning whatsoever. I usually go in with pencil and kind of give myself an idea of what I'm creating for the month. But this month, I just went with it. I had no plans. And I'm so happy I did because they turned out so great, especially the spread because I didn't plan it and things turned out fine. So I always recommend this. Like, you really don't have to plan things out. Just go for it and have fun. These are just daily journals to add in your journaling every day, and it does not have to be perfect. Anyways, I wanted to add like a bit of mixed media in here, but really not using any mixed media, but it looks like I did. What I decided to do was use a few stamp sets to add scribbly lines to my spread. I added some arrows. Even add like this little stamp that had like bars on it. And I stamped it in yellow to bring in some color. I'll go back in and use my pen to go over these stamps just so it looks like I drew them in, if that makes sense. I really like how it turned out just because, again, I didn't plan it and it still looked great. Anyways, now I can grab my stencil and finish up these boxes. And you're going to notice that Friday and Sunday are much larger than Saturday. And I'm a-okay with that. Like I said earlier, I did not plan this out. I didn't measure anything. So some things just aren't perfect, and that's okay. I actually like the look of some of the boxes looking different than others. It just makes it look more handmade. Anyways, I also want to bring in a hint of spring. Like I said earlier, I do want to sprinkle in springtime and Ramadan. So I'm going to use my floral washi to add in the corners of my spread. And I'm going to grab one of my black markers and add some shadowing to my days of the week. They look great as is, but once I add the shadowing, the days of the weeks are going to pop and it's going to look great. And I love doing this. I usually don't share this all the time when I'm creating and recording. I usually come back in and do it because it takes some time, but I wanted to share that with you guys this time around just to show you how simple shadowing to your alphas make a big difference. While I was adding my shadowing, I was thinking, what can I add in this empty space where I have my week number and calendar? And I thought I'm going to go with a tag. A tag is perfect for this. I can use it to add what I'm currently doing, reading, whatever the case is. So I stamp it on craft paper. I'm going to add some arrows and a little bit of decoration to it and trim it out and literally just stick it down on my daily journal. It's just a great way to add color and a great spot for me to add my currentlies. So before I finish and wrap up week 13, I'm going to add my gray lines using my Tombow marker. And I'm going to sprinkle in some Ramadan themed lanterns here. This is the Ramadan stamp set that I got to collaborate with the Paper Person shop on. It is such a beautiful stamp set. And I'm going to use the lanterns to add a little bit of something to each day. So I'm going to just stamp a couple in each day. And then I'm going to use the filler stamp to color them in. And I love how it turned out. It really finished up the spread. I was able to sprinkle in Ramadan and spring on one layout, and it just looks so bright and beautiful. Okay, so we are done with week 13. Let's move on to week 14. I'm going to start by using my week in review stamp set from Studio Calico to stamp the week and the calendar in the corner. I will be using a Paper Person Shop Days of the Week stamp set to stamp Monday through Sunday. I love this Days of the Week stamp set from the Paper Person Shop. It is so pretty, and it has like a little box that you can add to each day and bring in some color and probably write in the dates, which I will be doing. But I'm just going to go ahead and stamp them out and then use that bar. I think I end up going with some really pale, beautiful blue to add some color to the days of the week, write in my dates, and call that space done. I'm going to keep this layout pretty simple. I'm going to add a few things here and there, but it's not going to take me long. This is going to come together pretty quickly. Okay, now that I'm done stamping, I'm going to grab my pen and add in the dates, and I'll also create a little box on the side. This is going to be my reading zone, so I'm going to kind of create my own TBR for the week or something like that. So I thought it would be fun to create a little box and add a drop shadow for it, again, so it can pop. I like this idea of having little boxes here and there. They have been perfect for adding currentlies and my reading lists and all that good stuff. I'm going to use some of my craft notepads to add some craft paper to my spread. And I will add some stickers as well because I feel like these spaces are perfect to add stickers as well. I grabbed some book stickers and I'm going to add it in my reading zone. And so this can represent my reading zone. I'm going to use a reading stamp set to stamp reading zone. Again, to sprinkle in a bit of Ramadan on my spread, I grabbed that Ramadan stamp set to stamp Ramadan in that bottom corner. And once I stamp it, I felt like there was a lot of space between the edge of my notebook and the stamp. So I'm going to actually grab another piece of my craft paper and I'm going to trim it down a little bit and add it right underneath Ramadan. And that way everything kind of flows nicely. I have like craft paper in the corners and it looks great. I love how simple it turned out, but yet it flows really nicely and it still like has that space for me to add my journaling. Anyways, I'm just going to go ahead and add a border. I believe I grabbed my gray marker and add some lines to my box. And I think I forgot to add number 14 for the week. So I go back and grab that stamp set to add the number 14. I even color it in with some gray ink. And then I call this layout done. Okay, let's move on to week 15. I'm going to start by stamping week 15 and the calendar in the corner, and then I can start working on the days of the week. So for the days of the week, I'm changing it up a little bit, and I thought it would be smart to use a stamp set that I haven't used in a long time. And when I do this, I like to do this actually because it will remind me how much I love that stamp set, and I'll end up using it for other things, if that makes sense. So it's kind of like rediscovering your stamps. So anyways, I decided to use the stamp set from Studio Calico to stamp little half circles underneath the days of the week. That stamp set has a bunch of half circles in different patterns, and I thought it would be fun to use it to kind of emphasize the days of the week. So I go with a very subtle tan color. It's like almost an almond. And then I'm going to go with a dark brown for my days of the week. And I'm going to stamp them right above my half circles. Again, there is no method to my madness. I'm just going with it. I try things out, especially this month because I didn't plan anything out. I'm just having fun. And I really like the combo of the almond with the dark brown and using those half circles. Now, I will use the stamp set from Everyday Explorers to stamp the dates in my half circles. And I thought I was good, but I'm going to actually come back to my half circles and add a little something. I just felt like they needed to be grounded and they weren't. But before I do that, I'm going to grab these Polaroid stamps, again from another Studio Calico stamp set, to stamp 2 Polaroids. I loved using the Polaroid stamps a few months ago, and I added like photos in some. I also added some embellishments, and I thought it would be fun to do that again, especially that I have the space. So I basically stamped 2 of the Polaroids, and then I'm going to go through my stickers, and I'm looking for 2 square stickers to add into the Polaroids. Now, I wish I went with the green sticker. I don't know if you saw earlier, I was holding one of those green ones and it was so cute. And I think it made everything pop. But I went with the more subtle because I always end up adding more stickers to my spreads. And, with my journaling everything, I was worried that it was going to be too busy. But I might go back in and change one of these because I felt like it all looked way too subtle. Anyways, I'm going to go ahead and add my border. And this is where I decide I want to add a little something to my half circles. Again, I felt like they needed to be grounded. I grabbed some of the little tiny words from that stamp set and I curved them slightly because I wanted it to curve with my half circle. And I just stamped like, for the record, here's the story. And I think I end up doing let's do this. I just went with different words and different circles, and that way it looks more grounded and the black helps everything kind of come together nicely. Okay, now that I'm done with week 15, we can move on to week 16. And like I mentioned earlier, because I didn't plan this out, I was going through my stamp sets trying to find something that I can use for week 16. And I found this large circle with the days of the week. I've had this circle forever and I never noticed that it had the days of the week in there. And I thought it would be fun to stamp a circle for each day and then highlight the day within the circle. And because it's so large and bold, I can use larger number stamps and change up the color a little bit. It will add boldness to my spread and something different than the rest of the weeks. So I go for it, but for the weekend, I just stamp the half circle because obviously if I stamp the whole circle, it would take up the whole space and I wouldn't have space to journal. But I also thought I would just use one of my craft pads to stamp out week 16 and the calendar just to change up the colors a little bit. And I end up trimming it down and adding it to the corner. So now that I have my week stamp stuck down and ready, I can add the dates in my circles. So I'm trying to soften up the circles a little bit. I still went with bold numbers, but I went with a soft color, and I'm just using this old Kelly Purkey stamp to stamp 18 through 24. And I'm okay that, 23 and 24 are not in a full circle. Again, I needed space to journal. And while I was doing that, I still wanted to soften it up a little bit more. So I'm going to go with this botanical stamp set from Carrie Bradford to add some leaves coming through my circles. And I'm so happy I did that because it really softened up the circles. And even when I add color to my leaves and highlight my days of the week, it's going to even look better. I'm so excited for this spread. I'm shocked that I never used this circle because it was the perfect little stamp to add into my daily journal. And you can see that I'm going back and forth between larger leaves, smaller leaves. I'm just creating little clusters around my circles, and it worked out really, really well. Another great way to soften up your spread if you're using some bold stamp sets is washi tape. And basically, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to grab some of my favorite washi's. I'm going with a navy blue with floral and some pinks to match my numbers. And I'm going to add some washi to the corner. I'll even add a little bit of washi. I stick it on my little crafty notepad sticker thing on the bottom, and it will add some color and also soften things up. And I'm going to add my border as well. Grab my markers, color in my leaves, and highlight the days of the week. Then call week 16 done. I love how it turned out. Totally different than what I use. I always say this, and I say it thinking I don't like circles, but honestly, this turned out so cute that I'm starting to love my circles. So, anyways, once I'm done with week 16, we can move on to week 17, which is the last week of April. And I'm going to keep it simple as well, but I'm going to change it up a little bit with my format. I love changing up the formats of my weeks from week to week just because I'm always journaling in this daily journal. I like to see something different every week, and it just helps with your creative juices. If your spreads look exactly the same every single week, I feel personally that you will totally get bored with it and you won't journal in your daily journal. But if each week looks different, you get excited and you want to try out the new format. And that's why I like to change up my spreads from week to week. Okay, so let's move on to week 17. Again, I'm just stamping week 17 with the calendar in the corner. And I really like the days of the week that I used for week 16. So I'm going to use them again for week 17. I'm just going to stamp Monday through Sunday. So this actually, the end of the week or the end of the month stops on a Saturday because it's the 30th. I'm going to go ahead and add the 1st of May with the spread as well. I've been liking that lately and I've been doing it lately. It just makes more sense. So I'm going to go ahead and stamp Monday through Sunday. And then I'm going to grab my large Carrie Bradford double digit stamp set to stamp 25 through 1. And I went with a light gray this time around because I had used black for the days of the week. I went with gray for the dates. And I'm going to be using this new stamp set. I'm so excited. It's this bottle stamp set from Close to My Heart. It is such a beautiful stamp set. And you will see once I start stamping the bottles and filling them out, it just looks so adorable. I'm so happy I used it. I purposely stamped Saturday and Sunday higher because I wanted more space to journal and to give me space to add these bottles as well. They are adorable. I just mask them off so I can kind of do like stacking of the bottles, and I will grab my stickers and fill out these bottles with some stickers and stamps. Like one of the stamps in that stamp set was stars that you can fill one of the bottles out with, and I'm definitely going to be using that because it's so freaking adorable. You can see here I use that star stamp and it's so cute. I love how it looks. I grabbed my Pipsticks subscription kit here. I'm just going to go through my stickers and I'm going to add a few stickers here. I love the stars and moon. I think it went really well with Ramadan. So I went ahead and used the stars and moon. I'm going to grab my Ramadan stamp set as well and stamp Ramadan next to my bottles. And I'll stamp a few lanterns as well, just to bring in that whole theme of Ramadan. It's going to be the end of Ramadan by that time. So we'll be celebrating Eid, and hopefully in May, I'll use my stamp set again and my new Studio Calico Ramadan stamp set to add Eid's themed layouts in May. Oh, and I decided to fill one of the bottles with some pink hearts. Just thought that would be cute. And I believe I'll grab my marker and add a little hint of color underneath the days of the week. I felt like even after I added my lanterns and my bottles, I felt like the days of the week needed a little bit of color. So I'm basically just going to grab one of my Tombow markers and add a line right underneath the days of the week. And just by doing that, it made a huge difference. I can't believe how much of a difference it made just by adding a line underneath the days of the week. I'm just adding my border, and then I call my layout done. Oh my gosh, I talked a lot. I'm so sorry, you guys. Anyways, I had so much fun putting these spreads together. I love the theme that I went with. It was like sprinkles of Ramadan in there and sprinkles of spring, and it looks amazing, and I'm so happy with the outcome. But anyways, you guys, don't forget, I'm going to be adding all the links down in the description box for you. I hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, please give me a thumbs up. And if you are new to my channel, please consider subscribing, and I hope to see you guys very soon. Bye.